In the 1400s, Europe was still haunted by the long shadow of the Bubonic Plague, a devastating pandemic more commonly known as the Black Death. Although the initial and most catastrophic outbreak began in 1347, the plague did not disappear when the 1300s ended. Instead, it returned again and again throughout the 15th century, striking cities, villages, and trade routes with terrifying unpredictability. Entire generations lived with the constant fear that the disease could reappear at any moment, carried silently by ships, caravans, or even a single flea. The plague was caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, which spread primarily through fleas that lived on rats. As trade expanded across Europe, Asia, and the Mediterranean, ships carried infected rodents from port to port. When the rats died, the fleas sought new hosts, often humans. Within days of infection, victims developed painful, swollen lymph nodes called buboes, usually in the groin, neck, or armpits. Fever, chills, vomiting, and blackened skin followed. In many cases, death came within 3 to 5 days. By the 1400s, European societies had already suffered massive population losses from earlier outbreaks. Some historians estimate that between 1/3 and 1/2 of Europe's population died during the initial wave in the 1300s. In the 15th century, recurring outbreaks prevented full recovery. Cities such as Florence, Venice, and Paris frequently recorded new epidemics. Trade hubs were especially vulnerable because merchants and sailors unknowingly transported the disease across borders. The social impact of the plague in the 1400s was profound. Labor shortages continued to reshape the economy. With fewer workers available, surviving peasants demanded higher wages and better living conditions. This shift weakened the rigid feudal system that had dominated medieval Europe. Landowners were forced to compete for labor, giving common workers more bargaining power than ever before. Over time, this economic transformation contributed to broader societal changes that helped pave the way for the Renaissance. Fear and superstition also intensified during outbreaks. Many people did not understand how the disease spread. Some believed it was a punishment from God. Others blamed the minority groups, leading to persecution and violence. In certain regions, Jewish communities were falsely accused of poisoning wells and faced brutal attacks. Meanwhile, physicians struggled helplessly, relying on outdated medical theories such as the imbalance of bodily humors. Treatments included bloodletting, herbal mixtures, and burning incense to cleanse bad air, none of which effectively stopped the disease. One important development in the 1400s was the introduction of quarantine practices. The port city of Venice became a pioneer in public health measures. Ships arriving from infected regions were required to wait offshore for 40 days before passengers could disembark, a practice known as quarantino, from which the word quarantine originates. Special plague hospitals, called lazarettos, were built on isolated islands to separate the sick from the healthy. These measures did not eliminate the plague, but they helped reduce its spread and laid the foundation for modern public health systems. The psychological toll of living with recurring plague outbreaks shaped culture and religion. Art from the 1400s often reflected themes of death and mortality. The danse macabre, or dance of death, became a popular artistic motif, depicting skeletons leading people from all social classes to the grave. This imagery reminded viewers that death spared no one rich or poor, noble or peasant. By the late 1400s, Europe was slowly stabilizing, though plague outbreaks would continue into later centuries. The disease never fully disappeared, but improved sanitation, stronger urban regulations, and evolving medical understanding gradually reduced its impact. The bubonic plague of the 1400s was not a single event, but a recurring nightmare one that reshaped economies, transformed social hierarchies, influenced art and religion, and forced societies to rethink how they responded to disease. The legacy of the plague remains one of the most powerful turning points in human history. It exposed the fragility of medieval life, accelerated social change, and ultimately contributed to the emergence of a new era in Europe. Even centuries later, the memory of the Black Death stands as a reminder of how a microscopic organism could alter the course of civilization.